What is up, pagers, ragers, and uncomfortable gain stagers? Thanks for sitting down at the message desk with me this week. Today, well, we got another delightful episode of for you with me, your host, a man who falls asleep sitting up. We got two pugs back there to help us in this journey, and so I think we're going to be okay. What I want to talk about today is actually something that people have been asking me to talk about for quite a while, and it's unlike me because usually I film videos that people ask me to do right away because, to be quite honest with you, people don't ask me to do videos very often. It's fine, I'm popular and cool, and comment down below and hit me with all your requests and etc. But this was one that I always felt like I don't have anything intelligent to say. So I just won't really say anything. And I've always kind of explained to people my thoughts, but never actually made the video. And then it occurred to me today, as I was falling asleep sitting up for the 100th time, hey, not having anything intelligent to say has never stopped me before. So why start now? So here we go. The octatrack is great, and we love it, and it's so beautiful. And it gives us a lot of options. Sometimes it gives us too many options. One of the areas it gives you quite a few options is gain staging. And for some people, it can be a little overwhelming in terms of what volume knob do I turn to make thing louder or quieter in an intelligent way, in a smart way, in a healthy way, in a sustainable way. You know, how can I remain carbon neutral while turning up and down my samples? And look, my answer has always been whatever's closest, I guess. You know, sometimes I turn the level, sometimes I turn the volume here, sometimes I'll adjust distortion or compression gain, or I mean, it just depends really, and it's not a huge deal. I think people get in their heads a little bit. But I think there's a couple things I want to talk about that have to do with gain staging on the octatrack and have to do with volume control that are at least worth talking about, at least enough to make a quick video and say, hey, don't do these things and do these things. So we're just going to do one thing to definitely not do and one thing definitely to do. So the thing you should definitely not do, in my opinion, on the octatrack is normalize your samples. In the audio editor, there's a little edit function. You can hit yes. Make sure you actually have something selected. Go down here. You can hit normalize selection. Now, unless your sample is exceedingly quiet, and I mean like minus 32 dB, I wouldn't normalize your sample because the octatrack doesn't really give a fuck. It'll just boost it. It'll lil boozy it. It'll make it boosted. Lil Boozy and Ted from How I Met Your Mother will come into your octatrack and they'll do a collab, and it'll be weird. Can you imagine Ted from How I Met Your Mother on a rap feature? No one wants that, so don't do it, and I'll tell you why. You'll clip a lot. It just clips a bunch on all the time with the distortion, and it's not good. Because the octatrack has gifted you with 1, 2, and then potentially up to, 3, 4 volume controls, depending on what effects you have on something, not to mention your master here. You can make your sample louder if you need to. You don't need to normalize it on the octatrack. Or, here's something else that's crazy. Unless your sample, again, is exceedingly quiet, you turn down your other shit, because it doesn't need to be that loud. Doesn't need to be that loud. Just turn down the other stuff, and then relatively speaking, your sample will be louder. You turn up your headphone volume, turn everything else down, then turn this volume up, and it'll be like the same volume. Do you see why I haven't made this video? It feels weird. I feel like I'm pandering and being an asshole and being like kind of smug, and I am all of those things. But you just have to deal with it, I guess. And I'm just gonna do it because my brain is fried. And I don't have the judgment anymore to tell whether or not I'm being annoying. So I'm going to drink my Slurpee 7-Up, and you're going to listen to me. That's the thing not to do. Just don't do it. Don't normalize your samples. If you disagree with me, pop off down in the comments and tell me why I'm wrong. I probably am, but I never feel the need to normalize samples on the old octatrack, it usually just introduces problems. The only thing I will say is sometimes you can normalize creatively, because it introduces weird distortion and artifacts. Like if you intentionally record kind of an ambient sample very quietly and then normalize it, you can get some weird shit going on there. That's cool. I love using the octatrack's normal functions for experimental music. Yeah. Anyway, that's the thing not to do. The thing definitely to do, in my opinion, that has to do with gain staging is when you're switching between parts on the octatrack. I have to imagine this is where people run into a lot of trouble, and start, doing their head in a little bit, because parts contain volume information. They contain what all your faders here are set at. Everything that's on the screen pretty much is what a part contains. We've talked about this a few times before. When you change parts, if you don't reproduce exactly what volume you were at for the same samples, it's going to sound wildly different. And so the easy solution is to just copy your part over. I don't know why you wouldn't do this, because it's a ton of work to not copy your part, because you have to individually go through and put all the same tracks in if you want the same tracks. But far be it from me. My point is, go to your part menu, hit function and copy your part, paste it wherever you got to paste it. Because if you don't do that, your volumes are going to be crazy off. It's going to sound terrible. It's going to sound really bad. And it's going to be a big headache trying to match them at that point. Because once you haven't copied your part and you've started writing a whole thing, well, now you've made a bunch of changes to that part. You can't copy your part over anymore. You're kind of just bonerinoed. Yeah, that's no good. So copy your parts. Because like I said, that's the only time I've ever really run into problems with gain staging on the octatrack, is when I don't do that for some reason. And halfway through writing a part, I'm like, oh, let me go back and check something on the old part. And I go back and I'm like, whoa, that's way quieter. Or whoa, that's way loud. And then it's a big headache. So that is my suggestion there. And that's kind of all the thoughts I have on gain staging. Simply because I haven't really run into many problems with it. It doesn't seem to be as pervasive a problem for me as it seems to be for some people. There's no way to say that without sounding a little condescending, but someone did mention and made a good point about how the hell do you deal with relative loudness between projects. Like, project A is going to have, this volume and kind of feel to it. You can kind of contain what you're doing as much as you can within that project. But if you're switching projects using all kinds of different samples, it's not easy to reference back and see how loud a various thing was. And if you're performing live, you don't really have the luxury of tweaking. So what do you do? And I don't know. I don't have a solid answer for that. Maybe someone in the comments does, other than just meticulously going back and adjusting volumes and paying attention. Or you don't even need to necessarily meticulously go back, but just pay close attention to your decibel meters in the DAW. Oh man, do you ever just get really tired while talking? You ever just give up in the middle of a sentence? Sleep apnea will do that to you. I'm racking my brain to make sure that that's the only thing I have to say on this topic. Don't normalize your samples. Copy your parts over. Quick thing before I go, I guess that's a little tip, is sometimes people are like, oh, when I mess with my scenes, one of my, relatively speaking, the volume gets all fucked up and weird. What do I do? Well, if you hold the scene button and you flick the level knob, you can only flick between a binary on-off state, which is sucks. But if you go to your amp page, you can control your volume, relatively speaking. And of course, you can do that the same with distortion and all kinds of stuff. And so that can be a way around that. So that's just a little quick tip on my way out the door, as I tell you that that's really all I got for you today. Super simple video, super short and to the point. Sorry if this seems like a useless video. It maybe is. I don't know. But people have asked me to make it for a while, and I feel like I'm ignoring them. So I just wanted to kind of make it and say, like, hey, I'm sorry I'm not smarter but also I love you. You look good. I'm sorry I'm so tired all the time now. But we getting help, baby. It's all good. The American medical system's chewing us up and spitting us out, and we'll see what happens. Yeah. Ricky got me some dark chocolate pretzels. That's good. I love that. Love my dogs. Love this country, dude. And I love you guys. And thank you so much for watching. Because honestly, you could have sat down with anybody on the entire internet today. And instead, you sat down with me. A guy that has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 distinct Warhammer armies on his desk. And that's not all the armies I have. I mean, all the game systems I have. That's crazy. You chose to hang out with me. That's awesome. My shirt says Big, Hot, and Juicy on it. It says it even bigger on the back. Wow. You chose to hang out with me. That's cool. I'll be back next week with a new video. I'm just going to hang out here. I hope that's fine. I'll be back next week with a new video. Hopefully one more useful than this one. I actually had an idea for a flipping film that I think would be kind of nice. So, yeah, we'll just kick back, talk about a movie, make some music, and try not to fall asleep. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm Daniel. This is The Messy Desk. And I love you more than I love this little chunky paint stuff that comes off Citadel paint pots. Kind of want to eat it, but you mustn't eat it. I'll see you next week. Peace.